were driving from Bombay to Nasik, and and there was a car accident. My whole family was in the car. My mom passed away in the accident. I know for a fact how many lives I managed to change via Made in Heaven. And it is not the the star
Not at all.
kid's fault. Coming to the responsibility of balancing things out,
Yes.
again it falls on the media. They have to support people without the backing. Star kids are the only ones that they want to follow from the time they are age 3, age 0. I didn't want to be an embellishment in a star vehicle, which also I did a bit of.
Hi Arjun, welcome to the Quint, and thank you
Thanks.
so much for making the time for
Thank
this.
you, Swati. Thank you for having me.
Arjun, before we talk more about your career and your days in the city when you
Yeah.
came to become an actor, I would love to talk to you a little bit about your childhood. What were you like as a child?
First few years of my life were spent in Srinagar,
Yeah.
in Kashmir, where my dad started his career as a hotelier, and he used to work at the Oberoi Palace. What was the Oberoi Palace then?
Okay.
Now it's called the Lalit. These are like early 80s. I was born in 81.
Right.
So those are the days where all the films were shooting in Kashmir,
Yeah.
and they were all the crews and cast and crew were staying at the Oberoi Palace. Like Satte Pe Satta, for example, was shot at one of those barnyard
Yeah.
places, which was part of the property of the same hotel. And like my dad was like GM at the place, so
Yeah.
all the actors, it's like they would go to him with all their requirements. But I basically grew up in Old Delhi, in civil lines. I was about 10 years old when we moved to Bombay. My dad started working in Churchgate at the Ambassador Hotel,
Oh, okay.
the one with that revolving
Yes,
restaurant.
yes.
And in Delhi, like those growing up years,
Yeah.
starstruck as hell, of course.
Right.
Like Bollywood movies is what it was about. Like I watched Jambaz,
Yeah.
right, as a kid. I was
Okay.
so taken by how stylish Anil Kapoor was in that
Yeah.
film. I made my mom buy me a pair of boots,
Yeah.
high boots I call them. And I used to go to sleep in those. And then I would wake up in the morning and my first question would be, "Mere baal to nahi kharab hue?" We went through a family tragedy in 95. We were driving from Bombay to Nasik, and there was a car accident. My whole family was in the car. My mom passed away in the accident.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. And it was tragic. Suddenly, it was like the first hit, you know what I mean? Of like, whoa, what's life? So I was hospitalized for majority of that year. Had 3 fractures in my back, all this scar, and
Okay.
123 stitches on the body. It was a bad scene.
My God.
We, as a family, moved back to Delhi to be close to our
Yeah.
extended family.
But if I could take you back to Kashmir, you said there were a lot of shoots, like you mentioned, there was Satte Pe Satta. Did you at that point get to meet any of them? Did you have an experience with any of them that kind of stayed with you? And you
I remember it as a flash, okay? And Mr. Amitabh Bachchan was there shooting all these films. I don't even remember which one this was during.
Right.
But and we would all walk, my parents would obviously walk the kids in the grounds of the hotel, and so would he. At some point, somewhere I fell. I have this vision of these 2 long arms coming down and lifting me up. I have that flash. He will of course not remember it,
Yeah, yeah.
But I know this as a story.
Yeah.
And it's a true one. My dad was in college with Mr. Gulshan Grover. So one time when we came to Bombay, he called us to his set and he was shooting for the movie Saudagar in Film City.
Yeah.
And that was my first time on a film set. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
9, 10 years old, But somewhere in those years is where I think I secretly started harboring the wish to do this. But I took my first steps much later. I took my first steps when I moved back to New Delhi, and when I went to this international school, there they had theatre studies as a subject.
Right.
So I opted for it. I didn't tell my dad until I was 18 or so, when it was time for me to go to college actually.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, "Dad, I don't wanna go to college. I wanna go to Bombay."
And how did he react?
Yeah. Man, no, he was he wanted me to get a degree, of course, fairly.
Like most parents
Like
do,
most
of course.
parents do, and kind of lied my way through that also. I was supposedly doing correspondence in Bombay while I was pursuing my other dreams, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so I haven't graduated. So I was limited in my options. I was like, I couldn't go to FTI or NSD or any, like.
Right.
And then I went back to Delhi and I trained with Barry John. And I was like, I have no idea about how a film is even made. So let me just go to Bombay and try and get some experience, So then I moved to Bombay in 2002. And I started working on my first film as an assistant director, which was a film called Quint, Ho Gaya Na. Didn't plan to do more than 1 or 2. Ended up working on 4. And then I was running out of time.
Right.
And I was like, man, I better make the switch if I
Yeah.
intend to,
Yeah.
So then I took another year off. And then I trained at Lee Strasberg Institute in New York.
Oh, wow.
Joined a gym for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
Did all that. And started pursuing acting, yeah. This was now 2007.
And here you are, 21
Here
years
I am,
later.
Eating chicken salad with you.
Yes.
Yep.
So before we get on the next question, maybe
Yeah.
we should give this a shot now.
Yeah, looks damn good.
It really does.
It does.
Nice.
Very nice.
Do you
Yeah.
find it a little difficult to totally put yourself out there?
I am not the greatest at putting myself out there the way
Right.
uh,
A lot of
actors
people.
are expected to. कि पार्टियों में जाओ, रील बनाओ, ये करो, वो करो, engagement बढ़ाओ. I'm not. I do have a tough time with it. Yes,
Yeah.
I just want my work to speak for me, and it's the only
Yeah.
thing I want to speak about. To be honest, I could have many opinions on many things, but over time, I've even learned to there's no need, man. Just keep your opinions to yourself.
That is something that I was going to talk to you
Yeah.
about, because I know there was a point
Yeah.
where you were very vocal about what you thought.
I think it gets exploited. It just becomes news bait, and careers get destroyed over news bait, and lives get affected over news bait, and it's not fair at all. You just see it every day. Right now there's a comedian who is loved by everyone getting cancelled in the US. Sure, what people think of it is all up for debate, but
Yeah.
it's up for debate. It's just like a really tricky time. I feel like the more you can stay out of the news, the better, boss.
I'm going to move a little away from this conversation. Arjun, in our lives, right, we always have a particular moment that kind of maybe molds us, defines us, and maybe makes us what we are in the larger scheme of things. Is there something that comes to your mind that really defines Arjun Mathur?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put it down to my the death of my mother in 1995 when I was 14 years old. As far as me, the human goes, that is the single most defining moment of my life, my entire family, to be honest. When something like that happens, you are left with a bundle of issues, right? And then at some point in your life starts a play out of those issues, that starts affecting people around you. You cannot be the victim and be like, I'm like this because I'm like this. You got to take responsibility of what happened.
Arjun, if I could talk about your series, the one that I believe really changed your career, right?
Yeah.
You want to say which one it is?
Made in Heaven.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So can you tell me, after you did the first season of Made in Heaven, how did life change for you? My question is, as a person, what switched for you? What changed for you?
I'm going to change your question, in fact, a bit. Because it's not really, Made in Heaven was not about how my life changed.
Okay.
I know for a fact how many lives I managed to change via Made in Heaven. I was in Chicago for this film festival, and this couple came to me from across the United States of Indian descent, and they were like, we're here to meet you because they had just been married 2 months prior.
Okay.
And they were like, we're here to meet you because we're married because of you. After watching Made in Heaven that we could convince our parents, they agreed to let us get married. There were cases of people having been able to just come out to their families or their friends or their workplaces, and that's what Made in Heaven did. Everything else is just is byproduct. The Emmy nomination is byproduct. The whatever, every success, every following project, everything else is a byproduct.
Recently, I was reading an interview of yours where you had said initially there were a lot of roles that you had lost to star kids. Would you like to talk about that?
I'm okay too. I won't specify on which roles.
Not
but
at all.
Sure.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it happened quite often. I remember a case of where there was this one film where I was literally told by a producer that it was a 2-hero project, and I had done this entire screen test with the other actor.
Nice.
We were friends. The producer called me to tell me they can't have me in this film because I'll overshadow the guy who my friend is, who was a star relation.
Right.
And I was like, okay, whatever. I guess that's a compliment. Number one, it is not the the star
Not at all.
kid's fault or whatever it is, whatever you want to call them, nepo baby or whatever. But like, it's not their fault.
Not at all.
All right, are just like born where they are born. So was I.
Yeah.
If I had chosen to get into hospitality and hotel line, and of course my father would be setting me up, and like coming to the responsibility of balancing things out.
Yes.
Again, it falls on the media. They have to support people without the backing. Star kids are the only ones that they want to follow from the time they are age 3, age 0 till the time they make their debut and beyond. And how's it going to work? It's not. You got to give the same level of importance to when there's an actor you see who's come from nowhere and like, wow, he's really good. The media has to support. The audience is consuming what the media is supporting. Neither can you blame the filmmakers, because they are, at the end of it, in a business. I've had filmmakers tell me that they want me as the leading actor in their movie, but like it's the market economics that's not allowing it. But these are all things that happened many years ago. I stopped giving a shit about it. And just like I went down the path of doing more independent films. I didn't want to be an embellishment in a star vehicle, which also I did a bit of. There was a film I did, like it was a very central character in the film, but just because the other actor in the film was like a star relation, like my part was butchered in the film. And that was a different time. It was pre-OTT, like people did get slotted as like, he does the best friend role well, so let's do that. I didn't want to let that happen to me. I mean, I was looking at the Indian actors who have received Emmy nominations. There's Jim Sarg, there's Shefali Shah, Nawazuddin Siddiqui, Radhika Apte, me. Am I missing anyone? I don't think so.
Veer Das stand-up.
Veer Das, yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, that's a good cast, man. Anyone listening, like how are doing that?
Let's
really?
manifest this. Tell me one thing that you find common in that list.
That we've never led a big budget production, commercial Bollywood.
I think all of you came in
Yeah.
to this world not knowing anyone and made it where you are.
Yeah, I guess it's great that there's an international recognition and validation to it, but it's also sad now that like you're doing it here. You're doing it to entertain your people.
Yes. In those times when things like that did happen, like if you were about to be cast in a film and took away, or this other things that happen, how do you kind of pull yourself out of it? Doesn't it kind of make you feel a little disheartened or make you feel like what's going on?
Yeah, of course. But then in life, there's many times and many things that will make you feel disheartened. What are you supposed to do? Even with Made in Heaven, for example, like 5 years ago, it was a very different world when Made in Heaven released.
Yes.
And there was a lot of like, wow, path-breaking and amazing and how brave and this, that. And 5 years later, to be honest, I also had a bit of fear that like we live in a different world. Now, I could be called out for not letting a gay actor have this opportunity.
I remember you saying this earlier as
Yeah.
well. Yes. Time you started your career to today as you sit here, what are the few things that you feel has changed for you as a person and not as an actor?
I'm not great at asking. Whatever psychological issues are behind that, we'll decipher with my therapist.
Yeah.
They say that every 7 years, every cell in the human body regenerates itself completely. So 7 years ago, you were a completely different human from who you are today. And this happens to us every 7 years. So I'm turning 42 this year. It's going to happen to me for a 7th time. So I've changed a lot, many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like where I am now.
Thank you
That's a
so
lovely
much,
wish.
Arjun.
Thank you.